has 2 children with him.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
Well, he'll be 2 on the 9th, and then I have a 10-month-old.
And then, according to what I read here in either the complaint or the answer, he has at least 1 other child.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is how old?
Probably about
7.
Does he see that child?
Every blue moon when she brings him.
So once in a while.
Yeah.
So he has 4 children altogether?
Yes, ma'am.
And you currently live with him?
Yes.
What does he do for a living?
He works at a warehouse.
And you?
But I'm a certified nurse assistant.
Who takes care of the kids?
Me and Claudius.
You work different shifts?
Yes, he works overnight. I work day shift.
So you're currently working?
Yes, ma'am.
But there came a time, I'm just trying to figure out why everybody's sort of mad and fighting over him. I don't understand it. There must be something that you ladies see that is hidden from me, because it is your claim, Miss Hill, that Miss Horton not only vandalized your car, but that she caused you to be fired from your job. She says that you filed a false restraining order against her and that actually you caused her to lose her job, and it's all over the prize, which I can never really understand. How long have you been working in your current job?
About 3 months now.
So you got another job.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Making about the same money or more?
A little less.
And where are you working?
I'm a machine operator.
So you got another job?
Yes.
Because all this started when all of a sudden you found yourselves working at the same place?
Yes.
And in what month was that?
That was, I started the job May 31st, but it spilled over into June is when everything took place.
And how long were you working at the same place?
3 months. I started March 4th of 2022.
Okay, so it was a short-term employment for both of you. And you were there first?
Yes, ma'am.
And you came shortly thereafter, shortly after she started to work. Had you ever met each other?
No.
Well, explain to me what the problem was.
So there's a history that started back in 2019 via text messages and Facebook. So we've had an ongoing beef for years.
Who cares? Now you're going to both get smarter. You're going to come here today and you're going to both get smarter. And if he has 2 children that he doesn't see, her daughter and your 7-year-old, according to what I hear, that you see once every blue moon, that's a basket that I wouldn't be in. So you have a history of bad texting back and forth and stuff. I don't care about that. Let's get to the 2 allegations of, 1, that she vandalized your tires. When and what proof do you have that she vandalized your tires? This is after you both found yourself in the same working environment.
It wasn't my tires. She actually keyed my vehicle.
Keyed it?
Yes.
On what date?
On June 18th. And I have my police report from that.
Okay, I'll look at the police report. Did you see her key your car?
I did not see her, but I requested video footage from the job, and they stated that they would give me the video footage.
Do we have it?
We don't have it, but the city attorney was unable to receive it as well. But I have a letter from the city attorney.
You don't have it here for me, and you didn't see her key your car?
Yes.
What we're here for is a trial, so I need what proof you have that she keyed your car. I assume your car was at work?
Yes.
When it was keyed, okay? And I'm assuming that you don't like each other, that things got nasty, heated on social media, back and forth. I'm assuming all that is true. All I need for you to show me is proof that she keyed your car.
Well, I have audio recording from HR where they're stating that everything was initiated by the defendant. And Arkansas is a one-party state, so I can play the audio for you.
Oh, was she on the audio?
They're talking about the video in the recording and that they were supposed to give it to me.
Can't help you. Okay, this next part of your case is that she caused you to lose your job.
Yes.
Go.
So I have my termination letter stating that the defendant...
I'd like to see a termination letter.
It's a joke.
This is the description of the termination letter and description of the violation. Kiana has been involved in altercations with another employee. While the other employee instigated the situations, it has gotten to a point where multiple other staff are now involved. I don't know what that means. At this point, it is affecting patient care and causing a hostile work environment. Termination effective immediately. I assume that you have a similar letter because you were terminated. May I see it?
Yes. I also have a final warning.
Just a second. Okay, On Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, Diamond, that's you,
Yes, ma'am.
was given a final written notice concerning harassment of other employees. It has since been reported that the harassment has continued. Also, multiple other staff have been pulled into this situation to the point that it's affecting patient care, and it's a termination letter. Okay, so I'm assuming since you got this, you were notified previously about having any communication with each other. You were not.
I was out for COVID. I had just got back to work June 15th of 2022. And I found out that Hill was working there. I never knew she was working there at all. And so I got
That's
called
not
to the
true, Your
office.
Honor.
Shh. What was the beef about? I don't understand.
The other baby mama. It's the reason why we're into it.
His 7-year-old's mother?
Yes.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes. Yes.
And later,
Possible before I probably dismiss both of them. I would like to see after June 15th, 2022, up until the date of the termination, which is June 23rd, 2022, how the harassment continued. I would like you to show me from June 15th.
The actual date was June 14th.
Well, this says June 15th.
I wasn't working.
Shh.
She
This
actually harassed
violation.
my friends as well. We have
I
the
just-
date timestamp.
I just want you to show me after June 15th, between June 15th and June 23rd,
Yes, ma'am.
what further acts that you allege are acts of harassment occurred.
I have the schedule showing the date.
Shh. Well, I don't know what this is.
A fake Facebook page that she made.
How do you know this is a fake Facebook page that she made?
That was a requested message that was sent to me after her and myself had a conversation, and she was threatening to beat me up. And it says, since you didn't apologize, D is going to beat you up.
Okay.
The D that they're referring to is Diamond.
Oh, my God.
What is this?
The 870 number is her calling my phone.
Okay. And
The
870,
missed calls.
this was on what date?
That was on June 19th.
What were you calling her for at 6 o'clock in the evening?
Well, the day she accused me of vandalizing her car is the day that we had worked together. She called the police and her family came up there and they all had guns. That's the reason she got terminated, because she brought a gun on the premises.
That's
and they
not what
came
my
up
letter
there to
states.
jump me.
That's a lie.
When I went outside,
I just
she had
want to
the
ask you
gun.
why you called her.
I called her to ask her because the June 16th is when I sat down. I had a conversation together to
did.
drop all beef. Like,
She
no
was
issue.
calling while she
And
was
I don't
calling
want you.
me.
You want to say
called
you
her.
can't control yourself. Understand, you're sending me a bad message. If you can't control yourself here, which is a very controlled setting, I'm going to say to myself, this is somebody who can't control themselves outside of the setting. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I called her to ask her why did she feel like I vandalized her vehicle, because before that we sat down and we had a conversation together at work saying it should be dead. Like, well, we should not have any beef over him at all, and that the kids were involved. And so we agreed to let it go. So then she accused me of vandalizing her vehicle.
What was the beef about? I don't understand.
The other baby mama is the reason why we're into it.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we have no proof of vandalizing, and this is nonsense. You want to tell me about the restraining order that you filed?
There was an order of protection placed after she was harassing me at work.
May I see it?
Yes. But it was also rescinded.
By the way, does he pay child support for your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
He does. How much?
He pays probably about $239 every 2 weeks, somewhere around
Does he
there.
pay it to you?
Yes. Well, it's through child support.
But he pays it to you?
Yes.
And he's current?
Yes. Well, there's back pay, but he's currently paying.
Okay. So was there a hearing on this order of protection?
It was not.
There was
No,
not.
ma'am,
Did
there
you
was not a hearing.
Just a second. Did you appear?
No, I rescinded it.
I understand that. I just want to know the court found that the petition was dismissed.
It was a false accusation.
Okay. So the reason that the order states it was dismissed is that the petitioner doesn't meet the definition of family or household member as defined in whatever statute is, and therefore does not allege the existence of domestic abuse. Doesn't address the gravamen of the petition. It's a more procedural dismissal because she's not related to you in any way. I mean, having children with a person in common doesn't make you, at least in this jurisdiction, part of the household. Okay, you both look like nice ladies. You know, he has kids with 2 other people. Not a great track record.
He really don't see them because they don't let them. They don't want their kids around me.
There's a reason. You know, maybe not a great track record. It's not good for your children. It's really not good for your children. I mean, your children, believe it or not, your children are related to each other. I mean, you may not have any interest whatsoever, but when your children get older, they may have a curiosity about who their half-sibling is, what they look like, they alike. They may have interest. So all I can suggest to you is your children didn't ask to be born. The idea that you exert any energy whatsoever, negative energy with regard to each other, is ridiculous. Really ridiculous. But for him, you wouldn't have any contact with each other. Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, why? He hasn't been in your life in years. And I know that he shouldn't have been in your life at least for the last 7 years because he's got a 7-year-old with somebody else, right? And you have a 10-year-old. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, except for your daughter. Mm-hmm. And
could I state that the situation is not about him. It's about the harassment, the lost wages. That's more of my concern with her. It has nothing to do with him.
I was working before you. I was working at a job. You came to my job.
Just a second. What I'm telling you is, right now, and I don't have to get into it any further, right now, she's got the guy.
I don't care.
Just a second. Right now, she's got the guy. So that would perhaps give rise to some animus on your part. With regard to her position, he's working and he's paying money to your child, which is, in her mind, taking money away from her 2 children that she has with him. Well, that's his responsibility. You knew about that child and you knew about the 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. So what I'm telling you is there's a lot of negative energy going on. You both got jobs relatively soon after this. It was probably not a good idea for you to stay in the same place. And your employer was absolutely right and actually quite brave in today's times to say, we're terminating both of you because your job is affecting patient care. Because it's not only the 2 of you, other employees have been drawn into this drama.
That's because she brought them in.
I don't know whether she brought them in or not, and I don't care whether she brought them in.
And later today.
She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her in years. So clearly you called her.
I feel like the judge, she made the right decision.
She didn't listen.
Because I'm with her baby's father, which is now my baby's father.
He had nothing to do with this situation.
I just want to be there for my kids.
You know, to his credit, he's paying support.
Sure. Has a job.
Has a job. And I don't know why these 2 women feud when, according to plaintiffs, she has no interest in him anymore.
And she's getting support.
She's getting support. I just don't understand. There are so many things that life has that present obstacles. Why fight over a guy?
There's many good causes you could get behind and fight for. Let's choose one of those.
Right.
Case number 2149, Goodwin versus Philpott. All parties, please step forward.
Manuelita Goodwin is suing wedding planner Kayla Philpott for repayment of items purchased for Kayla's wedding.
Miss Philpott, how long have you known Miss Goodwin?
Since I was a child. I don't remember much of her when I was a child, but she remembers me as a baby.
Well, I don't know what she remembers. You were getting married. When? What was the date of the wedding?
May 6, 2021.
Where was the wedding supposed to be held?
It was going to be held in Turlock.
Is that a wedding venue?
Yes.
How many people were coming?
It ended up being around 25 people. It was kind of small.
How many people did you invite?
60.
But 25 came.
Yeah.
It was during the height of COVID. Tell me, when you contacted Miss Goodwin, you contacted her because you knew she was a wedding planner, right?
Yes.
And when did you contact her?
I believe I contacted her in January.
And at the time you contacted her, had you made any wedding plans at all?
Very little.
Okay. During the course of your wedding planning, she said she would help you.
Yes.
Prior to January 2021, when you contacted her, when was the last time you saw her?
I can't even remember.
Well, was it in 2020?
No.
2019?
No.
So you hadn't seen her in at least 2 or 3 years?
Yes.
How many times in that 2 or 3 year period did you communicate with her by text or by phone?
Never.
So the reason that you called her in January of 2021 was to assist you with your wedding?
Yes.
And she did?
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
She said she laid out a whole bunch of money for you in planning your wedding and purchasing things for your wedding, and she wants to be reimbursed for that. So when you called and asked her to help plan your wedding, what did you ask her to do for you?
I asked her to help me because I really didn't have a sense of direction of what to do for a wedding. And I asked her if she would pay for a decoration. And then I told her that I was getting my tax return and that I'd pay her for the decoration. And we started with that.
Started with that. Mm-hmm. How much money in total did you pay Miss Goodwin for her work in planning your wedding?
I paid her $50.
Well, don't you think that's ridiculous? It is ridiculous, right? You called her and engaged her to be a wedding planner for your wedding. She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her or seen her in years. So clearly you called her to do a job for you that was her profession, her vocation. And in addition to doing that, she bought you your wedding dress.
Yes.
How much was your wedding dress?
I ended up, we got a few dresses. The first one didn't work out, and I believe that one was $200. And then
who paid for that one?
She did.
So the first one didn't work out. Mm-hmm. That was $200.
Yes.
And it didn't work out. Why?
I didn't like the fit on it.
Didn't like it. Okay, but you bought it. Well, yeah. She bought it.
Yes.
And where is that dress now?
I gave it back, and we ended up returning it.
Okay, so you got your money back?
Yes.
Oh, great. Strike that out. And what about the next dress?
The next dress, it was from Amazon, and we didn't like the fit either, so we ended up returning that one. And that one was...
Who ordered that dress? You or the plaintiff?
I believe it was me.
Okay, and what did you finally end up with?
I ended up getting a dress from David's Bridal that I really liked.
How much was that?
I believe it was $500.
Who paid for that?
She did.
So far you've paid $50 for her services, and so far, at least what I know, just for one dress, it was $500. Mm. Don't you think you owe her compensation for her work?
Well, she told me that, she was really, really generous. She was giving, I did a lot of stuff, and I believe that I don't owe her because she offered to do that.
It sounds stupid to you. Okay, I know, it sounds stupid to you. How much did you lay out for her wedding? In the receipts that you have for me, how much did you lay out for her wedding?
$32,87.95.
And when you asked her to be reimbursed for that money, what did she tell you?
That she was going to pay some of it when she received her tax returns, actually her wife's tax returns, and also she was working overtime to pay me back. She also stated that she was going to be getting a judgment from a State Farm check that she would be making payments, and she did pay the $50 after she made a payment arrangement with me to pay $200 a month back, and she did make the first payment of $50, and from that point she didn't make any additional payments. So we did work together, Your Honor, to try to sell the items that were at her sister's home. I requested both Kayla and her wife at the time to sell the items. They're sitting in her sister's garage in Stockton, where I do not live. I did come down for 2 weeks to try to help sell those items.
Were any of those items sold?
Yes, they
Did
were.
you get any money back from those?
I did.
How much?
$106, and then I had to pay for shipping for those items.
How much did you pay for shipping?
$75. And the rest of the items are still in her sister's possession.
Okay, $32.26. How much did you pay for your wedding other than the plaintiff's participation?
$8,000.
Did you pay that?
My mom paid for the venue, and then I paid for the other things.
How much was the venue?
$4,000.
So you paid $4,000. You personally, and what about your wife?
Well, we share an account, so it was from both of us.
What about her $3,200? Just don't have it. Just didn't pay it. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Goodwin?
No.
$32.26. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
She told me that a lot of the stuff was gifts.
I don't have any more wedding woes.
She did a great job with the wedding.
She thought it was a gift.
She's really, really gifted at that.
Never gonna loan money to her again.
That was a relatively easy case. I think even the defendant acknowledged, besides just relying on the goodwill of the plaintiff, she had no real excuse to not.
That I see where those two, the truck and the vehicle behind it.
The trailer, yes, ma'am.
The trailer. The property to the left of that is your house.
Yes, ma'am.
And the property to the right of that is the defendant's house.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant, in writing, agreed to sell you that little piece of property that looks like it's been carved out of her property.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you had a narrow driveway, you wanted to park these two vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon that agreement, you went ahead and did some work on that piece of property.
Yes, ma'am.
You put down gravel, you planted flowers, all to make it look as if that piece of property was part of your house.
Not so much to make it look like it's part of my house so I can get in it, because the agreement was that there was 3 pine trees there prior to her telling me that I can buy the property.
No. The 3 trees that are there had nothing to do with this except that they were taken down. And were they taken down and the removal of the trees was paid for by you or by her?
By both of us.
By both. Okay. So you asked to have the trees removed, and you both paid to have the trees removed.
Okay.
Not only did you cut the trees down, but you took that property and made it look like yours. You say that there was an agreement in writing for her to sell you that piece of property. So I'd like to see that agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no agreement in writing.
Don't say anything.
The very top line.
Just a second. This is not a contract, sir, to sell land.
I have a lot more.
Shh. Not a contract to sell land. I see what she says to you. I am agreeing to sell you the property you are currently parked on for $1,000 plus costs. Let's get this in motion ASAP. And then she doesn't hear from you, and that's the 18th of May. And then she writes you again a little bit later, and she says her offer will expire at the end of today's business day, 5/19. And on 5/19, at 10 o'clock at night, you write to her, "Hey, Stacy, I've started working on things this morning. I have already been to the city of Akron, and once they are done and I get a surveyor and so on, I will keep you updated if that's okay. Last, everything is time sensitive, and I'm working as fast as I can to get the approvals. Just now seeing your texts."
Right.
Okay. So that's what you're relying on as a contract to purchase property.
Well, the fact that she said that she would sell it to me, and I started all the motion like she said to do. I started all the motions, got the surveyor done, got the deeds done, I got everything done.
All right. That was 5/19/2021. So show me what you did based on this and what you spent based on your belief that she had agreed to sell you the property and you had an agreement for sale, which is like a contract to sale of property. Most people know that when you sell a piece of property, you get a survey, you put it in the contract, you have a contract when the property is going to be transferred. That property would have to be surveyed because clearly you're carving a piece of property out of her property. I want to see what you did and what you spent, because if you spent money based on this, I may consider that as part of your lawsuit, because then it turned out she didn't want to sell you the property. By the way, I wouldn't sell him the property either. It makes your property look ridiculous.
It does. We never agreed to sell the property. Okay.
Did you write, "I am agreeing to sell you the property you are currently parked on for $1,000 plus costs"?
Yes, I never agreed to sell the property until I told him he was no longer allowed to park there. It was never discussed.
What is this?
Depending on the stipulation that my mortgage company requires, which is an appraisal, they had to approve the selling of the property.
All I'm interested in is this one line. The other ifs fall after that. It says, "I'm agreeing to sell you the property you are currently parked on for $1,000 plus costs."
Yes.
Okay, so you did that.
Yes.
I want to see the things that you started to do right after May 19th. You said, "I've already started working on things this morning." This is May 19th. "I've already been to the city of Akron."
Yes. This is a receipt showing the $800 from the surveyor.
Okay, may I see that, please?
There's that one. This is a receipt from the attorney where I had the deed paperwork done.
I'm looking for a date on this, sir. I'm looking for dates on these things.
Look at this one, too.
Okay, June 15th. What is this?
That's actually when I paid to have the 3 deeds made up. That's the $450 that I had to pay to the attorney for him to make the 3 deeds up. And everything Stacey had to do was sign them.
And that was June 15th. That was not quite a month later.
Right. I started the next day.
Okay. And this is so far what you spent in reliance on her statement that I'll sell you the property for $1,000.
This is a breakdown that I have that I wrote down You can show her that. Of everything, the timeline and...
I don't need a breakdown of the timeline, sir. I need the bills for this, not what you wrote.
Okay.
I need the bills for 6 tons of gravel. That was in July.
Here's one receipts right here. There you go.
Did he ever give you $1,000?
He never paid me.
Stacy is countersuing, claiming Julian was illegally parking on her property.
Okay, so far all I have that you paid was $450 for the deeds, $800 for the survey, and gravel to be delivered.
I got the gravel in there. I also have the concrete that I had laid, flowers and stuff that I put in.
Did he pay part of having the tree stumps removed?
We split the cost and the labor of removing the debris of the trees.
No, ma'am,
What?
that's not true.
Who wanted the trees removed?
I never had a problem with the trees. I like the trees.
Don't speak.
He wanted the trees cut down so he could have more space. He was already parking underneath the trees with a smaller trailer, just not his truck. He wanted more space, so he came to me and said, hey, what if I split the cost of the cutting of the trees? I said, that's fine, I'll split the cost. That's fine with me. And then I agreed to let him continue to park there as long as there was no tire marks. That's what it was. And then he built this thing.
Well, he formalized parking there. Mm-hmm. Okay. At what point did Miss Benedum tell you that she was not going to sell you the property?
This actually started on 4/3 of 18.
I'm not interested. I'm interested in the beginning of these texts, where you clearly had discussions. Trees were removed. I don't quite understand why she allowed you to remove the trees, and I don't understand the whole transaction.
Because it wasn't my choice.
Just a second. It was your choice. You wanted to park there. That's what you wanted.
But the trees was dying.
I don't care if they were dying. I don't care if they were shriveled up. I don't care. You carved out a piece of property. Now, if you carved out a piece of property that belongs to her and you didn't have an appropriate agreement in writing, which it has to be, then I believe, based upon her statement that you acted on, you're entitled to whatever you spent to renovate that property. Do you understand? You're not entitled to the property.
No, I understand.
You're not entitled to the property. You're entitled to what you spent to renovate the property. So now I want you to tell me, on what date did she tell you that she was not going to sell you the property?
That was 7/20 of 21. After I got everything done and called her and asked her, could she meet me at the bank? She said, no, I'm not selling to you for $1,000. But it goes deeper than that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. It goes deeper than that because when it came to the trees, I didn't approach her with the trees. She came to me and said, since the tree was dying, I said, well, I'll go in half with you. At that point, I said, when can I use the property? She said, you can use it as long as you need it. So that's when I started investing all this money into the property.
So what? I don't care. She said to you, you can use it as long as you want.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I said nothing permanent.
She said, as long as I need it. That's why I invested the gravel.
Okay. What I'm telling you, sir, is the purchase and sale of property has to be with a certain formality. If you dealt with an attorney, the attorney would tell you that it had to be in a formality, signed by her, signed by you, the contract that provided for sale, when it took place, what the survey was, whether her bank would agree to let her sell off a piece of the property because you have a mortgage, all of those things. That's why agreements to sell real property, which is land, have to be in accordance with a certain set of rules. This doesn't make it. However, if you relied on her statement in order to improve the property, to make it comfortable for you based upon her text message, I believe that you are entitled, based upon the text message, to what you spent to improve it. But you have to understand, she's not going to let you park there anymore.
And I'm okay with that.
Just a second. Are you still parking there?
No, ma'am.
Since when?
I would say September of 2022.
So you were parked there in July of 21, August of 21, September of 21, October of 21, November of 21, December of 21, January of 22, all the way up to September. You were parking there.
This is because we had...
Don't give me a because.
No,
that's either a yes or a no.
I was parked there, but we also had a civil case, too.
Which he dismissed 2 days before.
We had a civil case. She called the police.
He called the police on me twice.
The question was, when did she tell you she wasn't going to sell you the property?
September, when she agreed not to meet me at the bank. That's when she told me she wasn't going to sell.
September of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
I never knew we were meeting at a bank.
Just a second. So
I can do better
in
than that.
September of 2022, she advised you.
No, I'm sorry, it was August of 2021.
Well, show me in August of 2021 that you told him you weren't selling him the property.
Here's,
Okay, I'll take both, Kevin. Thank you.
And this was after she agreed.
Shh. Okay. I'm just looking for the date on this.
yeah, there's not a date on there, I'm sorry, but that was after May 18th of 2021. That was maybe July or August of 2021 when I told him, since he didn't meet all the requirements, that I no longer want to sell
What
it.
requirements?
He never met the requirements of paying me the money or getting the land appraised. The only thing he didn't do that my mortgage required is the appraisal.
Ma'am, that wasn't true because I did everything that the city of Akron told me to do, who deal with this on a regular.
Did you get an appraisal?
I got the land surveyed. She didn't tell me about nothing about appraisal until after I got everything done.
That's why you have a contract in writing for the sale of property, sir. I don't think you did anything intentionally wrong, but there was an appraisal that was necessary. Clearly, if she has a mortgage and a bank is giving her a certain amount of money on a parcel of property, and she wants to sell off a piece of that property, the bank is going to want to know how much that the value of the property has diminished by her selling it to you. So you have to have an appraisal. Do you understand?
I understand that.
Okay,
And
you didn't have an appraisal. I'm not going to tell it to you again. And all I want to know is when she first told you that you didn't have a deal. So once she told you that you didn't have a deal, whatever else you invested in this property was on you.
No, and I didn't invest anything else other than getting an attorney and paying everything I needed to pay him.
Once she told you that she wasn't selling the property to you, what'd you need an attorney for?
Because I had already had an investment after she said she was going to sell it to me. Once the attorney got involved, he told me to dismiss the case. Then after that, like 3 days later, I moved off the property.
Just a minute. So who brought a civil case?
I did.
When?
Last year of 21.
And what happened with that case?
It was dismissed.
What did you bring a case against her for?
For breach of contract.
It was dismissed because there was no contract.
Your Honor, can I say something?
What?
He made all these improvements in 2018 before we ever discussed selling the property.
You mean he put the gravel in?
Yeah.
Well, how could he put the gravel in over trees?
The trees were cut down in 2018.
Is that right, sir? Hey,
That's correct.
the trees
yes, ma'am.
that were cut down in 2018, well before this.
Yes.
So you did use it. You used it for how many years? You used it 18, 19, 20, and 21. You used it. You used it. You had value from it. You had value from somebody else's property. You used her property for you to park on. You
Yeah,
can't.
I wouldn't have done none of this if she would have told me no. Every move that I made, I asked her first. I got it in text message. I asked her, can I do this? Can I do this? She said, yeah, go ahead and do it. If she would have said no, I wouldn't have done none of it. I wouldn't have put a dime into the property.
I'm not going back to 2018, sir. If you made these improvements in the property in 2018 or 2019, before there was any hint of a writing that she was going to sell you property.
She had a verbal that I can park there as long as I wanted to.
Okay, your case is dismissed, Mr. Hall. You don't have a case. You did park there until she told you not to park there anymore. And you had the benefit of parking there for at least 3 years.
I got money invested that she told me
You
that
had
I
the
can do
benefit
it.
of parking your things there for at least 3 years. Are they gone now?
His truck and trailer are, but the gravel's still there, and we have to clean up, get rid of that stuff.
It was a huge mistake. So you're going to have to take care of that yourself.
Okay.
And I would take care of that because that looks ridiculous.
I will.
That looks ridiculous. You have a counterclaim
Yes.
for parking. Forget it.
But listen, I told him he couldn't park there back in May of 2021. He continued to park there till...
So you should have been more vigilant.
My attorney didn't notify him till May of this year of 2022 that if he continues to park there, we'll charge him $75 a day. And he continued to park there until the case was dismissed in August of 2022. So I'm only suing him for May of 2022 to August of 22.
And did he move it?
He did.
Okay. You still living there?
Yes.
Do you talk to him?
No.
Had you talked to him previously?
Yeah.
We had a good relationship.
I'm a common sense person and a property owner. It was overreaching to think that you could buy a piece of that land for $1,000. Overreaching. And if she had it appraised and if it's something that you want and she had, I guarantee you that that little piece of property would be appraised at a far higher cost than $1,000. Guaranteed. And I guarantee you that her bank would say, you can't let him buy that piece of property for $1,000. How much of a mortgage are you carrying?
$76,000.
Not going to let her sell off that piece of property. You had the benefit of that piece of property for several years. I have to tell you that I really think that it's much nicer to look at plain grass than it is to look at a trailer and a truck from her backyard.
Your Honor, I wouldn't have done none of it if you would have said do it.
Do you know what your attorney said to you? I can't help you. You don't have a contract. And Mr. Hall, that's what I'm telling you. I can't help you. You don't have a contract. And from what I know now, this all started in 2018 before there was any discussion of buying the property that you can prove to me. Because the thing that you gave me was in 2021. I have to tell you, you never had a problem because she was a good neighbor. If she let you park on her property, so if you think you're the one who's been aggrieved here, the truth of the matter is I don't think that you're the one who was aggrieved here. She let you park on her property. I have to tell you, I wouldn't have let that happen. I had a neighbor who had an easement. And I said, all I want from you when I bought the house was I want you to say that you will never try to claim this property by adverse possession and that you understand that it's my property. And then you can use it because it was a place that looked like it was part of his driveway. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm not signing that. I said, if you don't sign it, I'm going to put a fence right in the middle of your front lawn, which is where my property line is. I don't hear from him. I said, you have 24 hours to sign the paper or I'm putting a fence right in the middle of your front lawn because that's my property and you have an easement. And he didn't sign it. He would have lived with the fence until today because it's still there. Now his children are living with the fence because he's gone. You're not the aggrieved party here. You got to park for free for 4 years. For free. Because she was a good soul. She's not a bad guy. She was a good soul. I would have had your trailer and your truck towed to an impound on day 2. She let you park there for 4 years.
I wouldn't have been there.
Goodbye, we're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
She knew what type of work I did, so she said as long as I needed it.
It was just a tough lesson of being nice to the wrong person.
It did look like it was part of my yard, so I get that part.
I hope we can be cordial and just move on with our life.
It is what it is.
This is a great example of the statute of frauds and why it exists. So all writings for the sale of land, real estate, have to be in writing and signed by both parties. I'm sure it was created for situations just like these. There's a lot of moving parts. There's mortgages, there's banks involved a lot of the times.
There are easements, there are water rights,
Exactly.
there are all kinds of things.
Legally, they're some of the most complex documents that get drawn up. So it can't be a text message for $1,000 to sell off a piece of land without all the boxes being ticked.
Right. After May of 2021, when she wrote that piece.
For his detrimental reliance on the statement.
For his reliance on that statement to his own detriment by putting in gravel and other stuff.
But then it came out, it was way
It was
before.
put down in 18 before she ever said anything about selling
Took it upon himself.
Yeah, that would be on him.
Yeah.
And